Walking into a supermarket is an exercise in engineered abundance. Wide aisles, bright lights, and tens of thousands of flawless products perfectly faced on shelves. And the revenue numbers back up that feeling of wealth. The average American supermarket brings in around $712,000 a week. Over a year, a single building is pulling in close to $37 million in gross sales. It looks like one of the safest bets in the commercial world. But supermarkets are not high-margin businesses. They never have been. Out of that $37 million, a store keeps a tiny fraction. The industry average net profit margin is a microscopic 1.7%. That means a massive store is walking away with about $629,000 a year. Think about it at the checkout lane. When a customer spends $100 on groceries, the owner of that store gets to keep less than $2 of it. The farmer, the distributor, the landlord, the employees, and the electric company take the other 98. Nobody is getting rich by slapping a massive markup on a can of soup. A grocery store is a high-volume logistics machine that survives on fractions of a cent dressed up in a retail costume. Just getting the doors open requires a massive capital commitment. Building a full-scale independent supermarket runs anywhere from $3.5 to $16 million, consumed by land, construction, shelving, and heavy-duty fixtures. Then there is the energy bill. Food spoils, and keeping it fresh means running endless rows of commercial glass door freezers and walk-in coolers, 24 hours a day, every single day of the year. For a typical 40,000 square foot store, utility bills can easily top $230,000 annually. Labor eats up another massive chunk of revenue. The retail grocery sector has an annual staff turnover rate around 40% for part-time workers. Owners are trapped in a constant, expensive cycle of recruiting, hiring, and retraining just to keep the shelf stocked. And then there's the cost that doesn't show up on a vendor invoice: shrinkage. This is the industry term for inventory that simply disappears before it can be sold. A mix of employee cash skimming, shoplifting, and thousands of pounds of fresh produce rotting away in the back room. Because margins are practically microscopic, shrinkage is devastating. If a store loses just $100 worth of inventory to theft or spoilage, the owner has to generate over $5,000 in brand new sales just to break even on that one mistake. To survive this brutal gauntlet of fixed overhead and invisible losses, the store can't just hope you buy the right things. They have to actively engineer your behavior from the second you walk inside. Data shows that shoppers naturally drift to the right, so floor plans guide traffic in a counterclockwise loop, steering carts directly into the perimeter departments: produce, deli, and the bakery. These are the profit centers, where margins on fresh goods can exceed 40 or even 50%. The absolute essentials, like milk and eggs, are parked at the very back. To reach them, you have to navigate the center aisles. The canned goods and cereals in those aisles carry thin margins, acting as loss leaders meant solely to pull you into the building, so you'll eventually buy the profitable fresh items on the edge. Even the shelves themselves are monetized. Products placed at a standard adult's eye level sell dramatically faster. Big national brands pay a premium, sometimes over $1,000 per item per store, just to secure that prime shelf placement. To fight back against the leverage of those national manufacturers, stores push private label goods. By producing their own branded versions and cutting out the manufacturer's marketing budget, supermarkets can offer you a lower price while simultaneously capturing a higher gross margin for themselves. Every square inch of the floor plan is a carefully researched psychological mechanism designed specifically to offset the losses incurred just by opening the doors. But layout alone isn't enough. There is a financial mechanism quietly working in the background, keeping the whole system afloat, called the cash conversion cycle. When you buy a cart of groceries, you pay the store instantly with cash or card, but the supermarket doesn't pay its suppliers instantly. Large national manufacturers are often paid on 30, 60, or even 90-day terms. That delay means the store is sitting on the supplier's money for weeks before the bill comes due. A well-run supermarket essentially operates on a massive, rolling, interest-free loan funded entirely by the companies stocking its shelves. Now apply that float to inventory turnover. A successful independent grocer replaces its entire stock between 17 and 19 times a year. That 1.7% margin is applied to the same capital 19 separate times over 12 months, compounding into a much larger return. This relentless compounding volume is the only reason the everyday low pricing model works. Keep the shelves moving, and volume does the heavy lifting that markups never could. The problem is, this math is incredibly fragile. Take online delivery. A $100 basket bought in-store generates about $4 of net profit. But if an employee has to walk the aisles, pick the items, and pack that exact same order, the added labor and logistics turn a $4 profit into a $13 loss. Stores are forced into expensive defensive investments just to plug these leaks. They are rolling out AI software to predict stockouts and installing thousands of digital e-ink tags so they can slash prices on expiring produce or match a competitor's discount in real time without paying an employee to print paper labels. The biggest players go to extreme lengths to protect their margins. When wholesale chicken costs threatened Costco's famous $4.99 rotisserie chicken, a crucial loss leader, the company responded by building its own $450 million poultry complex in Nebraska, taking direct control of its supply chain to shave cents off every bird. Independent operators are trapped in a perpetual arms race against macroeconomic swings and global giants. In a system built on fractions of a penny, standing still is a death sentence. For proof, look at the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company, better known as A&P. They were the undisputed giant of American retail, pioneering the self-service supermarket format the entire world uses today. At its peak, A&P controlled 10% of all U.S. grocery spending, yet by 2015, the 156-year-old empire was entirely liquidated. Their rigid operational systems and labor agreements, which worked perfectly in one era, became impossible to unwind when discount competitors started squeezing the margins. A supermarket is a high-wire financial balancing act. It requires precise logistics, intense psychological warfare, and endless volume. A single percentage point of error is the difference between survival and total collapse.